Welcome to All Sports Talk Podcast, where I talk nothing but all sports. Good morning, it's your host with the most, Prince J, aka Jair. Good morning to my West Coast listeners. That's a good afternoon to my East Coast listeners. But today, I say this a lot, but I really mean it. We have a lot to talk about. A lot of trade rumors and talk that's going throughout the NBA. But first, I need to tell you the dates that's going to be very, very important for the NBA, for the fans that's going to watch these trades happen. Nothing can happen till July the 1st. But June the 30th will be the last official day of 2016's NBA season. It got capped off with Kevin Durant capturing his first championship with the Golden State Warriors. Also, June 30th is going to be the last official day for teams to make the qualified offer to their restricted free agents. July 1st is going to be the official start of the 2017 NBA season. It's going to be the first day that the free agents can make a verbal agreement with the team. They can't sign yet, but they can make the verbal agreements. July 6th is going to be the day that players and teams can officially sign and make trades. But then again, like I said, we're going to move straight into the NBA trade rumors and talks. Paul George, are you going to Cleveland or not? There's been some rumors that Cleveland has been involved with a 3-team deal, including the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets, which would send Paul George and Kenneth Faried to the Cavaliers for Kevin Love, who will be sent to the Denver Nuggets. Now I'm going to explain this. Is this a good deal for Cleveland? I don't know. If you think so, leave it in the comment section below. But let me tell you why this is a good deal for Cleveland and a good deal for the Nuggets. First, we're going to start with the Nuggets. You had Kenneth Faried, a guy who was called the Manimal. He had a lot of hype coming out of college. His first 2 years, his rookie year, was amazing. The guy was selling jerseys. I worked at Champ Sports at the time. If you don't know what that is, I'm going to tell you a little story. Champ Sports is the same thing as Foot Locker. They're owned by the same company. We had some Kenneth Faried jerseys and shirts from his rookie year, and they are still there. They are still for the retail price. They haven't went on sale. I don't know. Hell, why? I don't know. But they're still there. But this is going to be a good deal for the Denver Nuggets. The reason why Kenneth Faried was losing the fan base, he didn't have as much hype as he did when he first came out. You have Kevin Love, a guy who can get you 20 and 10 on each night. Kenneth Faried is not built of the same DNA Kevin Love is built that. He can't shoot as great as Kevin Love, but he can damn well rebound as good as Kevin Love. Let's move on to the Cleveland Cavaliers side. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, guys. When you get Kevin Love, that's going to boost your fans for the Denver Nuggets. It's going to be a restart for the location and for the fan base. And we can look to build around Kevin Love. How can we get more pieces? Not to ultimately compete for a championship, but just to make it a competition like Oklahoma City. They still have Russell Westbrook. They are still attracting free agents. They are still playing basketball. And I know I'm just rambling on, but we need a little bit of rambling in today's podcast because I'm just freestyling off the head. I didn't do my notes. I didn't have anything prepared for you guys. I apologize. But this is going to be a good deal for Cleveland. Let me tell you why. You get Paul George. Of course, that's going to be a great matchup with Kevin Durant. I believe Paul George and Kevin Durant can cancel out each other when they're going against each other. Something about Kevin Durant that brings out the best of Paul George is something about Paul George that brings out the best of Kevin Durant, vice versa. I think they will ultimately cancel each other out. So is Kyrie and Stephen Curry. They will cancel each other out. When you have a guy named Kenneth Faried, let me tell you the difference between Kevin Love and Kenneth Faried. Draymond Green has Kevin Love number. Draymond Green knows when Kevin Love steps on the court, he can have his way with him. That's in the paint. That's grabbing rebounds. That's on the defensive end. That's on the offensive end. Draymond Green knows Kevin Love is a mismatch up mentally. Kenneth Faried is the same height as Draymond Green and Kevin Love. Some may say he's maybe a little, not even a little bit bigger, maybe a centimeter shorter. But Kenneth Faried, he acquired the nickname Manimal for a reason. The guy has a engine in him, such as we've seen in players like Dennis Rodman. He just has that engine that just wants to keep going. And when you have a Draymond who owned Kevin Love's number, I don't want to make this a race thing. But Kevin Love, he was not as fast as Kenneth Faried. He's not as aggressive as Kenneth Faried. When Kenneth Faried steps on the court with Draymond Green, can you imagine the intensity? You battle for the rebounds. You think Kenneth Faried will let Kevin Durant dunk on him? Kevin Love would just sit there and just stare at Kevin Durant go by him and dunk on him. Kenneth Faried won't allow that. He acquired the nickname Manimal for a reason. If you don't know who Kenneth Faried, look him up. He's a 6'7", 6'8" power forward from the Denver Nuggets with dreads as long as Bob Marley's. And the guy can ball. He can run a fast break better than any power forward in the game. He can get you blocks. He's aggressive on the defensive end. And he doesn't take any crap. That sounds like the completely opposite of Kevin Love. Kevin Love has been known to be soft. He has been known to be unaggressive at times. And, of course, he's been known to be inconsistent. That's why he's on the damn well trade market right now. Now, most people would say, well, Chris Bosh was known for the same thing when LeBron was in Miami. Chris Bosh was known to be soft. Well, Chris Bosh, we could say if it wasn't for Chris Bosh, LeBron James would only have 2 rings. Chris Bosh acquired the rebound over Tim Duncan to kick it out to LeBron James to make the three-pointer, cut the lead to 3. The next possession, LeBron goes up and misses the whole entire rim, hits the backboard. Chris Bosh acquires the rebound, kicks it out to Ray Allen, and the rest is history. So we had Chris Bosh being aggressive in the key moments, the last possessions of the game. Kevin Love goes for 2 for 10 in the game 5 of the 2017 NBA Finals. When the Cleveland Cavaliers needed him most, he didn't show up. I don't think you're going to experience the same things with Kenneth Faried. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it won't happen. Really need to look into, because this is going to be the biggest move of the offseason. Remember, guys, this is June 26, 2017. I'm going to mandate this so you guys can come back and listen to what I'm saying. Chris Paul and Blake Griffen are now free agents. I'm going to talk about the 3 teams that they would most likely join. The first team is going to be the San Antonio Spurs. You have a guy in Tony Parker. He's going to be 36 next year. He's just coming off a ruptured quad. He couldn't play in the rest of the playoffs. And again, he's going to be 36. He's no longer in his prime. And then you have a rising superstar, not a star, a rising superstar in Kawhi Leonard, 6'8", 6'7", who can give you 10 rebounds if he wants to. He can give you 20. He can get you about 5 assists. So he's on the rise as a superstar, and you're going to add a LaMarcus Aldridge to that. Again, he's 6'11". He has one of the best jumpers as a power forward or as a player in the NBA. He has one of the best mid-range. He's excellent at the pick and pop. Maybe the San Antonio Spurs can make out a move when they add just Chris Paul, and Blake Griffin can maybe just a trade option for Jerry West and the Los Angeles Clippers. But I think you can actually put Blake Griffin in the mix here. If some way they can work out a deal when they acquire Blake Griffin and Chris Paul, with keeping the asset of LaMarcus Aldridge, of course it's not realistic, but let's say realistically here, LaMarcus Aldridge moves from the Spurs organization. They acquire Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. Blake Griffin is just a much better power forward than he is. He's much more aggressive. When you give Blake Griffin the ball in the paint, he's going to demand it, not shy away. Then you add Chris Paul, who taught Blake Griffin a pick and pop game. Blake Griffin didn't come out of college with a mid-range game. He can barely goddamn shoot a free throw. But his free throw percentage went up almost over 10%. He's acquired a little in a corner three-point shot. He can make it sometimes. And most importantly, he evolved the mid-range jumper, the pick and pop off the pick. And again, let's talk about Tony Parker. You no longer have Tony Parker as a starting elite point guard in this league. At best, he can be an elite backup for Chris Paul. That would be excellent for the Golden State Warriors, might I add. As soon as Chris Paul comes off the bench, you have Tony Parker, a Ginobili if he decides to stay, a Danny Green. That's coming off the bench. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin can turn around the Spurs organization. They can't do it with other organizations, but this one is the perfect one because you have the best coach in the National Basketball Association in Greg Popovich. The second one will be the Houston Rockets. I think you can leave Blake Griffin out of this equation, but let's say, again, this is going to be the three teams for Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. But realistically, they're going to leave Blake Griffin out of this equation. The Houston Rockets are not looking to acquire Blake Griffin, but that's fine. Let's say if they work out a deal, somehow they get Blake Griffin and Chris Paul for the discounted price. Wow. The Houston Rockets was the second best team in the league last year. They had the second best record. Can you just imagine adding a Chris Paul and a Blake Griffin to that situation? Yes, the Golden State Warriors have the Los Angeles Clippers number. The Golden State Warriors won over 10 straight, I believe, against the Clippers. But I don't think you have a ball handler, a ball dominant player in Chris Paul and James Harden. It's going to be a rough time. Working out the kinks of Mike D'Antoni's offense was going to be having the ball most. Did you want to have Eric Gordon and a James Harden coming off the ball? That would be wonderful. Then you add a Blake Griffin, a Clint Capella, and a Lene in the paint. It's going to be a lot of damn work for the Golden State Warriors, I tell you that. They will have as much power. Then you add a Ryan Anderson in the wing. Now let's imagine here. Somehow we work out a deal with Blake Griffin and Chris Paul. We got him on the Rockets now. And you put Ryan Anderson at the small forward position. Well, he's capable of playing. Now, he doesn't have to dribble the ball or do a lot of things because you have 2 point guards on the floor, James Harden or Chris Paul. If not, you might have Eric Gordon out. Let's get Chris Paul a rest, James Harden a rest. But you still have 2 dominant ball handlers who can move the ball and get Ryan Anderson wide open. I think that would be a perfect matchup for the Golden State Warriors. And most people will say, why you keep mentioning the Golden State Warriors? Because that's ultimately who you got to look to in the West. If you're a Western Conference team, if we're talking about the Eastern Conference teams, we will be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers because that would be who you have to look up to, who you have to design your team around. How are we going to beat these guys in the playoffs? That's how general managers think. If I'm going to build a team, I need to be looking at a team that can beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference Finals. So to sum it up, I think Mike D'Antoni will have his way with Chris Paul and Blake Griffen. I think this will be one of the most high-powered offense in the league. I think it would be neck and neck between Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. Well, maybe not if this deal with Cleveland goes down when they acquire Paul George and Kenneth Faried. We don't know yet. We will need to see next season. But the last team I'm going to mention right now, I'm pretty ticked off about it. I'm still mad about the trade that happened during the draft. I wanted to come in the TV and I wanted to physically hurt John Paxson for what he's doing to the Chicago Bulls franchise. Is embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be a Chicago Bulls fan in this last week. We have been trolled on social media. We've been talked about on all national sports broadcasting TV shows and channels. I don't know what in the hell happened. How did this deal go down? Who goddamn deal? Who thought it was to push the accept button? I know we're talking about Chris Paul and Blake Griffen going to the teams, but this is the team I needed to mention before I tell you a reason why they should go. I'm pretty ticked off about the Chicago Bulls. I'm a Bulls fan for life. I'm from the city. But we need John Paxson to go. We are starting to looking like the New York Knicks in our deals, in our moves, in our trades, and in our draft. We got a 7-footer who can shoot threes and nothing else. You can get that on the free agency market. You're going to tell me we get a 7-footer who can just shoot threes from the University of Arizona? He can't drive to the rim. He can't take you off the dribble like a Kristaps Porzingis. He's not him. He can just shoot threes. That's all. Maybe get you a rebound in there too because he's 7 foot. But he's just going to get you threes. But why in the hell should Chris Paul and Blake Griffen go to the Chicago Bulls? If I'm Chris Paul and Blake Griffen, I am not even thinking about sitting down with John Paxson. I don't want to be there. You deal your superstar like it's not nothing. He's on a vacation with Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union in Paris. We didn't got told that he was getting traded. He was with a Chicago Bulls player, teammate, and you let him get the news while he's on vacation. Now, of course, this is a business. They can tell him when he's taking a pool. They can tell him when he's taking his daughter on vacation. They can tell him whenever. I'm fine with that. But we got pennies for cash. We gave the Minnesota Timberwolves a $100 bill. They didn't even give us $1. They gave us a coin dollar. You know what I'm talking about. The coin dollars. They didn't even give us a paper dollar bill with George Washington on the cover. We got Chris Dunn, a guy who averaged 4 points. I am trying not to break anything in my room, and I'm telling you guys, just excuse my language, excuse my tone, my voice right now. If you find it annoying, I apologize. But we got Chris Dunn, bro. A guy who averaged 4 points. We also acquired Zach LaVine, 2016 NBA dunk contest champion. A guy who averaged 19 points this season, 6'6", who can float in the air, but he's coming off one of the worst injuries any athlete will tell you of any sports that you can possibly have. He just tore his ACL, and the Chicago Bulls got a superstar. Some people would say he's top 10 in the league. Most people would say he's top 15. You traded away a top 15 NBA superstar, not star, and you didn't acquire nothing. Nothing. We didn't get Ricky Rubio. We didn't get Dang. We didn't get nothing from the Timberwolves. And I'm pretty damn well pissed about it. But if I'm Blake Griffen and Chris Paul again, I'm going to tell you this. I wouldn't even sit down with John Paxson. But I think the Chicago Bulls don't have a point guard. They don't have a power forward. If I'm thinking like Blake Griffen and Chris Paul doesn't want to join me in my offseason move, I'm going to a team who I can say this is my team, like the Chicago Bulls. If Blake Griffen goes to the Chicago Bulls right now, this is going to be his team. Arguably, hands down, this is going to be his team. Dwayne Wade is going to be the co-star. Dwayne Wade is 36 years old. He's not going to be the star of this team no more if Blake Griffen comes. It's going to be Blake Griffin's team. But this is a little bit out of reach. I don't think Griffen or Paul will want to go to Chicago. They live in L.A. It's a major climate degrees. You got sunny every day, all year round. Palm trees in the air. You go to a city like Chicago, people's dying every day. Some people say it's dirty in Chicago. Don't talk about my city like that, but hey, we need to get better. One major sports broadcasting network has brought them up in the segment, but I'm going to give you that. D.Rose, 6'3", 28 years old. He's averaging 17 points this season with the Chicago Bulls. No, he didn't. He's averaging 17 points with the New York Knicks. Let's take this seriously. He's going to be a free agent this year. But the San Antonio Spurs, I have my networks. They let me know that the San Antonio Spurs have got in contact with D.Rose to let them know that they're interested personally. They didn't call the Knicks organization. They called him personally. Now, they called Kyle Lowry also to let him know that the San Antonio Spurs organization is also interested in him. But let's talk about D.Rose for a second. If you're D.Rose in this situation, you go to an organization like the Spurs, you have to change your whole approach to the game. He can't be as impactful. He can't take as much shots. He will have to pass the ball. He will have to be a Spurs basketball player. I don't know, how would that work out? I can't even imagine D.Rose being in the San Antonio Spurs jersey. How would he play? What would happen? But then again, the Minnesota Timberwolves just let D.Rose know and the whole world know that we want him. His coach, Tom Thibodeau, has expressed that we need a veteran point guard in D.Rose. He said that last year during the NBA season. Now that you have Jimmy Butler that's reunited with Coach Tibb, when you get Derrick Rose from New York and you have a Derrick Rose, a Jimmy Butler, a Andrew Wiggins, and a Carl Anthony who's all going to want the ball. They're all going to want the ball. This is not going to be the Golden State Warriors. When you have Kevin Durant, is unselfish. He can pass it to Steph Curry. Steph Curry is also one of the most unselfish point guards in the league. He can pass it to Klay Thompson. When Klay Thompson passes to Draymond Green is one of the best power forwards that's able to pass the ball. So when Draymond Green gets the ball, he kicks it back to Kevin Durant. That's a wide open shot. And the reason why it's a wide open shot, you have so many players switching off court. Then they go into Klay Thompson because they're 3-point shooters. You have all that ball handling and passing. Someone's going to be open. They're too unselfish. The Timberwolves, I don't think they can mimic that. You have Jimmy Butler, who's the last year he had the ball in his hand 80% of the times. You had Andrew Wiggins and Carl Anthony Towns. They were those two players had the most minutes out of any two players in the league last season. So it's gonna be one thing to take the acquire of Jimmy Butler and move him into the Timberwolves organization. That would be a little bit more ball movement, a little bit more scoring, a little bit better defense. But then again, they're gonna have to learn to share the ball. But I think if I'm Derrick Rose, I'm literally considering a place where I can just be me. Now, Derrick Rose, he may not get to the player he once was. I don't think Derrick Rose can average 20 points again. But I think if he goes to a team such as the Minnesota Timberwolves and Antonio Spurs, he has to change his whole game up. I think we can see Derrick Rose get to 16 and 17 and 10. I think 10 is the perfect assist for Derrick Rose, but he will have to change his entire game. It's going to be very hard for Derrick Rose to do. He's 28 years of age again, and he spent his last 8 years in the league doing what he already does. When you try to change the approach to your game so late in your career, it might be hard. But let me know what you guys think. Comment that in the section below. Would this be a good deal for the Timberwolves or the Spurs? Was the deal with Jimmy Butler a stupid idea for John Paxson, the president of all basketball operations in the Chicago Bulls, to accept? Will CP3 and Blake Griffen decide to go on their separate ways? Will CP3 join the Rockets along with Blake Griffen? What would happen to those two? I don't know. Give me your opinion, guys. I want to know this. And will Paul George go to the Cleveland Cavaliers or the Los Angeles Lakers? If he goes to Cleveland, will they acquire Kenneth Faried also? Or will Kevin Love still be there? Again, this is All Sports Talk, people, where we talk nothing but all sports.